Now, Sports Talk with Brodes. Here's Hunter Brody.
Hey everyone, before we attack the conversation today after that 2-0 win by the Phillies to sweep the Brewers in a 4-game set, if you're new to the channel, make sure you smash that subscribe button. Also, hit that like button. I greatly appreciate all the support. And lastly, every Wednesday I do a Hump Day giveaway over on my Twitter account, @Brodes81. Make sure you follow me. This week, we're giving away an Eagles jersey. Not just any Eagles jersey. Devontae Smith, the first-round pick this year for the Eagles in the NFL draft. You will not want to miss the opportunity to bring home that bad boy. So make sure you head on over to my Twitter page. It's pinned to the top of my profile. You need to retweet that tweet. Follow me @Brodes81 and follow my Brodes Media account as well. It's that simple. All right, enjoy the show. What a game from Zack Wheeler. A complete game shutout, 8 strikeouts, 0 walks, the cutter, the slider, the curveball. Ew, amazing. Doesn't matter. Lefty, righty, slider is working. Unreal. I'm stoked. I'm gonna stop talking like this now. Wow, what a game. The Phillies sweep the Brewers in a 4-game series. They didn't have Bryce Harper. We all understand where the Brewers are right now with the IL and Christian Yelich not available, which definitely hurts their team. They're somewhat vulnerable, but you need to take advantage of going up against teams when they are vulnerable. And that's exactly what the Phillies did. This was a grind. It was a pitching duel, and I do think a lot of this is on the pitchers, Woodruff and Zack Wheeler providing the type of spark that they did for their clubs. I also think that the Brewers strike out a lot, the Phillies strike out a lot. And when you look at where the league is right now, every team is striking out at this obnoxious rate. I'm not taking away the credit of what the pitchers did today. I'm just saying, I've watched a lot of baseball. I've seen a lot of strikeouts, and I've seen the statistical data to support where the offense is right now for the entire league, and it is bonkers. But what I loved out of Zack Wheeler was essentially everything. And Joe Girardi did say after the game, when he went up to him, he made sure that he was all right in the 9th inning because there was a little bit of some noise on the base paths, because why not, right? At some point, you realize that this was going to be a one-run game because that's what the Phillies have handed us for, the last 7 games in a row. Now, ultimately, it didn't, but it was very, very close to it. Joe did say that that was going to be his last batter. Joe went with the gut feel, allowed Zack Wheeler to work out of this, which I respect. He made the right decision. It ended up working out. He got a pop fly to Rhys Hoskins in foul territory to end the ball game, so it wasn't really super scary with like a warning track power type of play out in the outfield for the 3rd out or whatnot. So Joe did give him the leash, but we do know now that that would have been his last batter, which at that point I wouldn't have been upset with anything. Seriously, I wouldn't have even been upset if maybe one hitter before or whatever. If you saw him go into the 9th and then eventually they went to Hector Neris, I personally would not have been devastated with that decision either. I can support both decisions. I think both of them are logical. But Zack Wheeler got something accomplished that was smooth. Throughout the entire game, I watched him throw some of the nastiest pitches. It was a full count in the 6th inning with 0 outs, and the grossest slider I've ever seen was thrown. This couldn't have been more perfect. It was McKinney up to the dish, who was the only guy with the hit to that point. He had a leadoff double, and it was a good play by Rhys Hoskins. Caught the ball, threw it to second base to double him up to get a big-time double play early in the ballgame. McKinney was the only one who started off an inning with a leadoff double. Other than him, it was quiet on the base paths for the Brewers until that 9th inning. But McKinney, 6th inning, 0 outs, full count. This slider was so damn smooth, and it fooled him so damn much. He was all pissed off. He thought it was inside. When you look at the stat cast, the pitch cast, this thing came and just touched and nicked the inside corner of the plate. Smooth as hell. That might have been the most perfectly placed slider I have seen in quite some time. He also got Taylor in the 7th, who had no idea what to do, who was so out in front of a curveball. This thing was so damn electric. I've seen good cutters. I've seen it all out of Zack Wheeler and his performance on the mound. It was special. And I love the fact that afterwards you look and go, oh, yeah, 0 walks too. Nasty, grinding through that Brewers lineup. How many ground ball outs did you get? Too many to count. How many consecutive batters did he get out? Too many to count. And there was a stretch for this game where it was both teams, where it was 20-plus up and down, and it was somewhat of a dud, let's be realistic. But I was intrigued by Woodruff, by Zack Wheeler, who was going to budge, who was going to make that mistake, and it ended up being Woodruff. And I love this out of Alec Bohm. It was the 7th inning when he delivered an opposite field bomb to take the lead. But what ended up happening on a 2-1 pitch, it was low as can be. It was below the knees, it was below the strike zone, and Alec Bohm got hosed. So now it's 2-2 instead of 3-1. Think about the difference here. You're Alec Bohm. You've been squaring up the baseball. You might not have been able to get the production that you've wanted to over the last handful of games, over the last stretch, but you've been squaring up the ball very well. You are now sitting at 2-2 instead of 3-1. I'd be pissed off. Quite frankly, I'd be really annoyed and really bothered by that. That's my count. That's my count that you just took away from me. Well, it didn't matter because he took one for a ride. So in his brain, he was thinking, I don't give a damn, 3-1, 2-2. Just give me a pitch to drive, baby. And bang, he didn't let it bother him too much. Whether he was internally upset about it or not, I'm just saying I probably would have been pissed off. He put it into his second brain. I don't even know what that means. He put it behind him. He put it in the back seat. He waited for the next pitch. And he annihilated it opposite field for the Phillies to take a 1-run lead. How about this? Bottom 8, Andrew McCutchen up, someone who's been getting out of his funk. 0-2 count. I just praised him yesterday for being able to execute on an 0-2 count. He does it again with 2 outs. Gets on first base. Brad Miller then walks. And Rhys Hoskins puts one down the left field line for an RBI double for insurance. Think about the difference in how we feel in that 9th inning if it's 2-0 or 1-0. And that could change the game for sure, 1,000%. Love the fact that you got your insurance late. Your big guy stepped up just a touch, just a little bit of sweetness involved to make you feel that much more comfortable heading into the top of the 9th when Zack Wheeler was getting on that mound. And what I loved afterwards is, and it was so subtle, and I don't know if anybody else picked it up, and I've been hard on Andrew Knapp in the past because he was not ready. I mean, he just wasn't performing. He wasn't performing. He's not what he is now. He was not a factor for this team, and he was getting put into high leverage situations at the plate, pinch hitting when a team really needs a run, and he flat out sucked 2-3 years ago. Now it's a totally different element for someone like Andrew Knapp. But after the game, I saw JT Realmuto with the biggest smile on his face, and everyone's running up to Zack Wheeler. He goes up to Andrew Knapp. Of course, it's position-based, so he's going to naturally feel way more love for the catcher position, but just something that should get recognized. The way that I saw JT Realmuto super excited for Andrew Knapp, the guy caught a hell of a baseball game, and he's a big reason why someone like Zack Wheeler gets into a groove. He's throwing the number down. Now, essentially, Zack Wheeler is the guy that controls all of that. But when you see Zack Wheeler in this total domination mode, and he's mowing down the lineup left and right, and he's consecutively getting hitters out and ground balls galore, where Didi Gregorius, and there were great defensive plays too. I'll get to that in just a moment. Andrew Knapp gets a cap tip for that as well, for sure. The Phillies never trailed in this series, and they never had to face Hader or Williams, which is definitely a difference maker when you think about winning 4 games in a row. So let's touch on this defense, because if you don't know, on Twitter during the games, I like to chop up clips that excite me throughout. The amount of defensive plays that I wanted to use, I didn't use all of them, but the amount of defensive plays that I had registered in my brain to use was obnoxious. And this team normally drives me crazy with mental mistakes. Andrew McCutchen with a nice leaping catch out in left field. Didi Gregorius twice. A beautiful backhander throwing across his body as he's running towards third base over to Rhys Hoskins. And by the way, Rhys Hoskins with a nice couple scoops as well. I rip Rhys a million times a day when it comes to his inability to scoop a baseball like a traditional first baseman can in Major League Baseball. He did it a few times today. Didi with Urias, he ropes one to shortstop. Beautiful play. Gets his body in front of it. Gets up real quickly. He had to somewhat slide and make the play. Gets up, sets his feet, throws, guns Urias out. There were 2 outs in the inning. Would it have been the difference maker in the game? Would it have been a huge difference maker if he got on base? Possibly. You can't rule that out. I just mentioned how in the bottom of the 8th inning, Andrew McCutchen got on an 0-2 count with 2 outs, and that provided that extra run support for the Phils, so who knows what could have happened. One pitch, one swing of the bat. Now it's a 2-1 game instead of a 1-0 game. So that absolutely matters for sure, 100%. So I love that out of him. What else was there defensively? Oh, Andrew Knapp. Andrew Knapp made a good play with a foul ball territory towards the dugout, and he slides on his feet, and he catches the ball underneath. Made a good play in foul territory to register an out. Alec Bohm had a nice charge where it was a dinky hit, and he charged the ball, established the ball, set his feet, threw it to Rhys Hoskins, didn't rush, had patience, a good level of knowing I need to get the ball out of my mitt, knowing I need to throw the ball over quickly because it was softly hit. At the same time, though, I have time. All right, I don't need to rush it too much. And I think that's one of the reasons why you see some struggles with Alec Bohm is maybe his brain is working too quickly for his body and he's rushing it. No, Alec Bohm made a good one. I saw Nick Maton with, to a degree, it was a basic play, but it was a solid play at the same time. Defensively, not mistakes happening. And look at the difference when you're not making mistakes, especially when it's such a tight ball game and it's a grind. You can make one mistake, one little hiccup along the way in the field when it's 0-0 through 6 innings, 6+ innings. That's when the disaster can happen. That's when the smack in the face can happen. So, and there were some good plays by Milwaukee as well. Odubel Herrera put a really nice at-bat together where they made a stellar play. I forget who actually made the catch, but it was an awesome play. Bad jump at first, and it goes back to everything we said about Mickey Moniak earlier in this season when he was playing. Sure, he made some diving catches. He also had some horrible reads off the bat to put him in that position. Same thing happened with Milwaukee here where bad angle, you're jumping up first, and then you realize you got to start running back towards the warning track. Ultimately, though, made up for it. Odubel did get another hit through that third base side. There's something apparently in that direction for Odubel Herrera. He gets another hit, so something to just register in this center field debacle, if that still is what we are calling this to this point. I'm sure it is, but yeah, it's just crazy. Segura will travel to Atlanta. That is monstrous. This team is ready to go on the road. You have a few series in a row, starting with Atlanta, an in-division rival. And then after that, you go to Washington. You are going on the road. This team excels at Citizens Bank Park. There is something mentally wrong with them on the road. You just established some sort of momentum. You did this without Bryce Harper, and I expect to see Bryce Harper in this upcoming series, who missed a good chunk of the last 8 games. I think 7 of the last 8 games he was not available for this team. So I'm expecting them to be back in the lineup. Hopefully my hope isn't wrong, and hopefully my optimism isn't wrong, and we do get to see those 2 guys out there. You just put something very solid together. Don't let it slip away. Don't let this melt. Build off of it. Put a nice ride together. Go on the road and prove to us that there's something there. Eflin on the mound. Aaron Nola on the mound for the 3rd game. And I guess it's Vince Velasquez for that 2nd game. Eflin, Nola, you're set up. You're set up, regardless of what they have. I think I saw Ian Anderson on the graphic, so I know he's in there. Regardless of what they have, I know what the Phillies have. And the Phillies have Zach Eflin and Aaron Nola in 2 of the 3 games in Atlanta. That should be enough to at least make you feel we can make some noise, for damn sure. To start the game off in the 1st inning, there was a chance to somewhat smack him in the mouth. Woodruff could not find the strike zone, and it was very bizarre to the point where you have the athletic trainer coming out to make sure everything's all right. 7 straight balls, 2 early walks, back-to-back walks to start the game. You figured, all right, day game. Fans are going nuts. Fans are loving it. Beautiful day. Getting your ice cream, getting your cold beer, relaxing at Citizens Bank Park. 2 early walks, 0 outs. And after that, strikeout for Rhys Hoskins, strikeout for Didi Gregorius, and Alec Bohm flies out. And all of a sudden, all that nice feel you had, all that jolly good vibes that was surrounding Citizens Bank Park and everybody else watching on television, it went away and it slipped away. And I thought, damn, that was a chance. That was definitely an opportunity to somewhat grab this lead and take it early. And they've been doing this. And I'm somewhat laughing because how many times have we seen them this year? Go up 5-0, go up 3-0, go up 6-0, and then their offense go quiet. If they would have scored in that first inning, the same thing essentially would have happened. Not that we automatically know everything that would have played out as if it would have been the same exact game, because it wouldn't have been. Maybe Woodruff wouldn't have went as deep. Maybe they would have went to their relief pitching earlier, and then everything else definitely is not exactly played out the same way. But not scoring, I think, changed Woodruff, because he got to somewhat get into control, striking out a bunch. This Phillies team, people were tweeting me throughout the game, Brodes, what's up with this offense? Why are they striking out so much? The Brewers strike out a lot too. This entire league right now has a strikeout problem. It's just the nature of the way that they're trying to approach the plate. On top of that, it's also the fact that you have pitchers like Zack Wheeler that can give you so much. We talk about his fastball. We talk about his cutter. We talk about that curveball. We talk about every pitch he has in his repertoire. We talk about the slider. And Ben Davis said this on the broadcast, and it is kind of hysterical. Think about struggling with a 93-mile-per-hour slider. That's your slower pitch. You're so focused on upper 90s and someone who had command of every single pitch. When you have a command of every pitch the way that Zack Wheeler did today, it's brutal. You can't square up the ball. You struggle constantly. You're going to result in striking out a bunch. You're going to record a lot of strikeouts because these pitchers are so damn filthy. So it's a combination of both. It's the approach to the plate. It's the home run mentality, home run walk strikeout mentality. On top of that, these pitchers are just flat out phenomenal, and their repertoires are filthy. The movement on these pitches combined with the velocity, it's nasty. It's a combination of both. What I loved also, I loved a lot of things, as you can tell, as you can hear. Did not have to use the bullpen. We had to record 5-out saves from Hector and Sam Kudron and grind through a bunch of your bullpen as of late. The fact that you were able to give them some rest before leaving Citizens Bank Park is definitely a great feel. It gives them that extra day. When I saw Hector warm up, all right, I figured there was a possibility. I was really hoping that Zack would somewhat stay in control enough where you didn't have to use him. That was the case, and I think that is so large considering how much you had to rely on your bullpen in recent games. The other day, you went JoJo, you went Kinsler, you went Matt Moore, you went De Los Santos, you went Jose Alvarado, and then even games before that, you had to rely heavily on them as well. So just a lot. In terms of JoJo Romero, though, you did get some news and not good news. Velocity dipped, velocity is down, and that is a concern for JoJo Romero. Someone that I really liked during the offseason, if you will, was Tony Watson, and they did not elect to keep Tony Watson. And when we realized that there was only one lefty in the bullpen, which was Jose Alvarado, you looked at JoJo Romero as an option, right? Knowing that he would eventually be caught up. When you look at Tony Watson and what he's doing with the Los Angeles Angels right now, it's actually pretty damn incredible, and I'm a little bummed that they did not keep him. He only has 8 innings pitched, 8 1/3, but I mean, he's a bullpen piece, so it's not only, it's 8 innings pitched, but just in terms of a full season's worth, I'm kind of putting it in perspective there. 108 ERA. He's been in 9 games. I do think, though, if I remember correctly, I think he did have an injury. So 4 days ago, Tony Watson was placed on the injured list. So I guess I'm saying this all, and here comes Tony Watson on the injured list with the calf strain. So for whatever that's worth, all I'm saying is JoJo Romero, not going to be available. Tony Watson was someone I liked, and he's thriving. I know Cole Irving's thriving as well, which is crazy. Just the most Oakland athletic thing in the world. And Nick Pivetta, while I will go through this again. This is now maybe the fourth or fifth time I had to do this. I am not trying to rip Nick Pivetta apart. I do think that there's an overreaction to Nick Pivetta. 5 innings he gave you against the Detroit Tigers the other day. 5 innings, allowed 3 earned runs. He did have 8 strikeouts. 5 innings, 6 innings, 3 2/3, 6 innings, 5 innings. And in that 6-inning game on April 11th against the Orioles, allowed 7 hits, 4 earned runs, walked 3. There was a span of 3 games where he walked 11 and struck out 11. So, look, it's a 3.23 ERA out of Nick Pivetta for the Boston Red Sox right now, but he's constantly giving you 5 innings for the most part. I do think that there is an overreaction. I bring this up to you because I mentioned Tony Watson. I mentioned Cole Irving. Tony Watson wasn't really here to give it any sort of life, but they decided to move on from him. Cole Irvin has become a nice player for the Oakland A's, but it is the most Oakland A's thing in the world. He was not producing here. Nick Pivetta, if your idea of him was 5th starter, well, then maybe you would have different expectations for him here. Maybe there is something. Maybe there is something with the lack of development from the pitchers. Aaron Nola's really the only one, so I'm not denying that at all. I do think that there's a reach, though, with this Nick Pivetta conversation. That's my point. I do believe that. And he would bitch, he would complain, he would pout, he would cry. He wasn't producing. I mean, there's a lot on him here as well. So that's my thoughts on him. I feel like I talk about that all the time, though, but I do think that it is a little bit overblown. All right, before we get to the Anytime Hotline, the hits literally keep on coming from one boxing event to the next. They grow in excitement and anticipation, and this weekend is no different with 2 of the sport's most respected fighters stepping into the ring Saturday night. There is no better place to get in on the action than with DraftKings Sportsbook, America's top-rated sportsbook app. For this weekend's fight, DraftKings is offering all new users a shot at turning $1 into $55. Download the top-rated DraftKings Sportsbook app right now and use promo code Brodes when you sign up. For a limited time, all new users can bet $1 to win $55 on this weekend's main event. That's right, DraftKings Sportsbook is going all out for new users by offering them the chance to win $55 when placing a bet of $1 on this weekend's big fight. Only at DraftKings Sportsbook. Must be 21 or older, Pennsylvania only. New customers only. Restrictions apply. In partnership with Meadows Racetrack and Casino. See DraftKings.com/sportsbook for details. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER. All right, we're going to do a combination of text messages. The text messages have been hot lately. We're going to do a little combination of phone calls and text messages. Here we go. Here we go.
Very strange year as a whole for the Phillies. You got a team that's basically 3 starters, butchers for the most part on defense, injuries galore, bunch of strikeouts, no productivity at all from center field all year. And then you look up and somehow, some way, defying all logic, they're in first place. Big win today, great performance by Wheeler, but I'm real interested to see this next series. You went to Atlanta a couple weeks ago and had your ass handed to you, other than the last game when you were a Bohm slide away from getting swept. You can pretty much pencil the Velasquez Saturday start as a loss, but I think you need to get the 2 other wins. You're coming into this series in first place. You want to leave out of there in first place a little bit further ahead than you already are.
How dare you? How dare you disrespect Vince Velasquez coming off of that phenomenal game, that 6-inning game, after grinding through the first and settling in? The disrespect! He might get that win. Oh, Vince Velasquez. Oh, I can't believe the year is 2021 and we are still speaking about Vince Velasquez the way that we do. Look, you make a great point, though. This team earlier in the season swept the Braves at home to start things off. Then they went back to Atlanta, and it was definitely not so much of a feel-good series. They need to keep this momentum. This could be big. You can separate yourselves a bit here. We all understand there's a lot of baseball left to be played, but still, the bigger the window, the bigger the stretch, the bigger the gap, the better position you're in. And you can make some sort of a statement like, yo, that wasn't a fluke against Milwaukee. Yo, that wasn't just because Christian Yelich was on the IL with 95,000 other players from Milwaukee's roster. We are actually a good team. We are actually turning the corner. We can get a lot out of this squad. We are timely when we need to score. I was going to say we are better offensively, but realistically, I don't know. I don't know what their offense is. I try and find identity of teams. That's my sole focus throughout any of these 4 teams we watch here in Philadelphia. Phillies, Flyers, Sixers, Eagles. When I start diving into them and I get a decent amount of a sample size, I like to try and see, okay, who are they? What can I rely on them to do? And early in the season, I thought, and keep in mind, you don't have Bryce, you don't have Gene, so things somewhat slipped a bit, but I thought the ability to grind you out, and McCutchen was just grossly horrendous. Maybe him becoming a better version of himself changes that as well, although there's still a hole in center field. My point is this, though. I figured that they would grind you to death. They would make you work. They would make you have to throw an insane amount of pitches. So by the 5th inning, you're at 95. You might not have a lot of runs on the board, but they'll put together 7 pitch at-bats, 8 pitch at-bats, whatever. And then you'd have to dive deep into your bullpen. And from there, in a 3-game series, if that's a consistent method, you will take over. Now it has just been flustered or clustered with an insane amount of strikeouts where that hasn't really been the case. I don't know what to say about their offense. They do get enough when they are winning these games. When they are winning these games, it's just enough. The 2 runs today, just enough. The 5 runs yesterday, just enough. Other games in this series, just enough. The 1-run wins, just enough. Maybe that's the definition of them. Just enough. Maybe that's the way we can describe their offense. Just enough. Only time will tell. I do anticipate seeing more, though, when someone like Bryce Harper's in the lineup, when JT is in the lineup instead of Andrew Knapp, when Gene Segura comes back. I just don't know if I can expect Gene Segura to walk back into a lineup and start giving you 300 again and start giving you that type of, the effort I can definitely see, but that type of execution. And speaking of effort, one of the plays by Odubel Herrera when he was flying down the first base side, full speed, head first, slide, insane play for sure to get him out at first base because I thought he had a real good chance to beat it out. But damn, was he phenomenal flying to first base there. I thought maybe he'd be able to slide in and beat it with his head first slide to first, but he did not. It'll just be interesting to see what this team looks like with that lineup back together. I think you really have to keep this alive. If you somewhat fall back, it'll just be disappointing because we feel so good right now. Keep us feeling this way, please. I beg of you. I need this. All right, so here's a couple text messages on the Anytime Hotline number as well. Where's my mouse? I don't see my mouse. I lost my mouse. I found my mouse. Mike from Delaware. Is this team turning the corner, or is this because of the Brewers not having Yelich and also dealing with a ton of players on the IL? I think it's a combination of both. I really do. I think it's a combination of both. I think this team is somewhat settling in, and I think they got an advantage based off of the personnel on who they were playing on the other side. And the fact that you were able to take the lead, and the fact that you didn't get some of their late inning relievers because you established a lead early in some of these games, and because you were up, and because your starting pitcher dialed in a handful of these games throughout a stretch of time, like it forces you to have the advantage. It forces you to not face some of the best relief pitchers in the game, and specifically for the Milwaukee Brewers, that puts you in a great spot. So they did this. I think it is a combination of both, Mike. I really do. Steven from Milwaukee. Been watching you all series long. Found you on YouTube. Great stuff. The strikeouts are so tough to watch, though. I think my Brew crew will bounce back when healthy. Yeah, I don't think that this is the product of the Milwaukee Brewers. Hell, their record will actually defend that. entering this series, their record was what it was for a reason. I think there's more in here. Every team, look at the Dodgers right now, for example, right? The Dodgers get walked off yesterday in a crazy Chicago Cubs game that was wild where I think it was Jock Peterson pimped a sac fly, thought it was a home run, and it kept going back and forth, throwing haymakers in late innings, and eventually the Dodgers lost. The Dodgers stretch, let me look it up exactly on where the Dodgers are in their last 10. I know it's not good. That's for damn sure. The Dodgers in their last 10 are 2-8. They're 2-8. Now, is this who the Dodgers really are? No. They got swept by the Cubs in a 3-game series. They lost to the Brewers in a 4-game series. 3-1 was the series advantage Brewers. That's a really tough stretch. What else did they have? They lost the series to the Reds. They lost that series to the Padres at home in a 4-game set, if I'm reading this correctly. Yeah, I do remember watching that series. That final game was on Sunday Night Baseball, but I'm looking at this Red series and whatnot. It's a little weird the way that they have this displayed with who's highlighted for the win and whatnot. But anyway, I don't think the Brewers are this bad. I don't think that they're this disgraceful of a brand of baseball. And I think a lot of it has to do with more so of just all these good teams and better teams go through some ugly stretches. This is just that. Bobby from South Jersey. Brodes, wow, what a series. Zack Wheeler was incredible. His slider was his most noticeable pitch for me. Love what you do. Keep it up. Thank you, Bobby. I appreciate the kind words. Zack Wheeler was magnificent. That was pure dominance. I got to go back to that 6th-inning slider on the inside part of the dish to get McKinney. It just had him stunned, and he was frustrated, thought it was a little bit inside. But when he watched the pitch cast, the way it came in and the way that it stayed there right on that inside part of the plate, just nicked it, that's amazing. You know, like perfectly placed out of him. The curveball to Taylor, ew, not even close, way out in front of the pitch. When you have command of all of your pitches the way that you do, it opens up the door to pitch any way that you want to for these hitters. And now they have to start second-guessing themselves on what is actually coming to them. And that's what makes it so special for Zack Wheeler. All right, that's what we have here today in this victory. Thank you all so much for listening. And I will see you next time. I can't wait for this Atlanta series. Let's go.